Welcome. This is another episode of King's Pop Up. Tonight we have a very special guest. King and myself are both in the interview. So that tells you how special she is. Not saying nobody else isn't as special, but we both wanted to be in the interview and talk to an amazing person, an amazing mom, amazing wife, amazing mother. K.A. Nelson, what's up? Your mic is muted, young lady.
Hi.
How's everything?
Everything is good. Everything is really good.
Okay, Ka, I put usually when we do the pop up shows with King is 9 out of 10 it's going to be a poet sometimes or somebody that's dealing with a specific art. But I want to ask you who is Ka the person besides the amazing mother, the amazing wife.
I am Keisha. I am K.A. Nelson. I am a disciple of Jesus Christ. I am a person who loves God, loves all people. I am a graduate of an HBCU. I am a writer. I am a poet. I am a licensed Christian minister. I am a mental health awareness advocate. I am an outreach ministry leader, director. That is the ministry that I have chosen, that God chose for me after serving inside of the church. I am a prophetic intercessor. If you need someone to pray for you, I am your person. It is one of my most favorite things to do. What else? And then, of course, I am a sister to 8 siblings. I am somewhere at the top, but somewhere in the middle. I am a daughter. I am the Rob's wife. I'm not just a wife. I am the Rob's wife. I'm not just a mama. I am the Goose's mama. And I'm pretty sure there are more things who I am that I am, but we'll just roll with it for now.
Well, let me ask you, because one of the things that King identifies is energy and being able to vibe with somebody when we do the poetry corner shows and a person, it doesn't matter what type of form of poetry that they may be reciting, it's the energy that really gets a lot of people and it really like has you engulfed in the message that they're trying to convey. So tell us a little bit about your journey, like where you grew up at, where you from, college, so forth and so on.
I am originally from Chicago, and then my
South
family and
side?
I, of course, the South Side. What other side is there?
I
There's the
felt
South
that
Side,
vibe. Nah.
So
of
so you was
course.
born in Cook County Hospital.
I was. I was born in Cook County Hospital. That's where my mama had me and my daddy. My biological dad, my dad Michael, had me. My other dad, my dad who I love also is Darwin. So let's not get it twisted. I got 2 daddies, okay? I love them both. So yeah, I was born in Cook County, and then somewhere in the 80s, right before my 8th birthday, my parents moved us to Alabama.
Whew,
Um,
culture
that's
shock.
that's a whole different interview that we'll have to do about moving to Alabama. Okay, because the dirt was red, and it was a huge culture shock. I will share this because having grown up, we went back and forth to Chicago so often, so it took a while to adjust to being in the South. So like I said, growing up in Chicago and then adjusting to being in the South. Um, Being in Chicago, I hate to say everyone is accepted, but everyone was accepted. I went to a Muslim school for a while, and then we transitioned over to public school. But then moving to the South, it was like everyone was a Christian. So that was a big thing. Let me not get ahead of myself. So I've been in Alabama for a long time, and I was an honor student, okay, in college, not in college, in high school. And then I went to an HBCU on purpose because I had to be in an HBCU band, and that is where I met my husband because we were in the band.
Wow.
Um, I know
Who was the better band member? Uh,
the better
who
band
was
member.
better? You or your husband in playing the
I was
instrument?
fifth. I was fifth chair. in my section. I was fifth chair. So um, I was
Wow.
fifth chair. So, but I saw him looking at me freshman year. He was looking at me, but I was already taken. So we didn't pursue one another until later on. But he was looking at me first.
He was checking.
So
He was checking on you early.
he was looking at me first. It was the 90s. So I mean, he was looking at me first.
He was checking and
But you know
checking,
what?
huh?
He was, but you know what? I had this prayer when I was 17 because I had already gone through a lot of stuff, childhood trauma, and a lot of stuff in high school. I had a really hard time, even though I was an honor student. Making good grades kind of helped me mask a lot of things. I had this prayer like, God, I promise I'll get to know you when I get married. And I had no really big concept of who God was, but I had some really great friends who went to church, and I was like, I want what they got. So I had this prayer when I was 17. Who knew that I was going to meet my husband in college? Because I wanted to be in Southern's band, Southern, down in Louisiana. And my parents made me stay here and go to college. And I thought they were so horrible. But I'm so glad they made me stay here because I ended up meeting my husband in college. And that's
Great.
how my life started to shift.
Okay.
Great. So, because it's like the elephant in the room, the transition to poetry, and when did you decide to write? What made you realize, like, you know what, I like poetry? What, explain that transition.
So my degree is in communications and English. I knew I wrote really well in college, and I had a teacher and a few influential people in my life who told me that I should write because I was passionate about it. And I tried to change my major over to teaching, but the first time I went into a school, I saw somebody dressed up. And I was like, no, I don't want to dress up. So I didn't go that route. Um, I didn't write my first piece of poetry until 2020. I didn't.
Really,
Wow.
really.
Yeah, I didn't write my first piece of poetry until 2020. I finally leaned into what God was saying. I knew how to write. I can write all things. So I'm a poet. I'm really a writer because
Mm.
I write curriculums, I write devotionals, I write, Bible studies, I write so many things. So I don't believe in writing about something until some healing has manifested in my life. So it was something major that happened, and I just heard God just telling me you need to write it down and you need to write some poetry. And it wasn't that I didn't know it wasn't that I didn't know how to write poetry. I had just never tried to. And the first piece of poetry that I wrote was called I think bruised but not silenced. And then I spoke to a friend, and then it broke into two pieces of poetry. And it was because of the turmoil that goes on in church. And I had constantly been told, you can't say that. And I'm like, why can't I say it? Why can't I say it? God didn't tell me that I couldn't say it. So that's when I learned, oh, I do know how to write poetry. Oh, this is where that's how I found my voice. And I haven't stopped since.
Mm. Okay.
I hear that. So, what particular poetry that you like to write?
I write a lot of mental health poetry. I know that I'm called to help people get healed by ways, whether it's mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically healed. So I can come alongside people. So I don't want to say that it's easy for me to write that kind of poetry. I just I feel it, and a lot of times I don't know that I'm writing it, and so afterwards I'm like, oh, um, I can write about anything. I can write about a piece of paper. Um, I just I don't know. I can't explain it. So I ghostwrite poetry
You,
also.
you
So
diverse.
I'm very diverse. So
Okay,
the
that's
first
what's up.
pieces of the first pieces of poetry that I wrote, it was about racial injustice. So and being canceled. And it was before I really understood the, I don't want to say rules of poetry, because I had to learn, you know? So if I had my choice on what type of poetry I would write,
Mhm.
of course it would be poetry to help people get healed by those means. If I'm asked to write poetry for anything, I'm game for it, except, erotic poetry. But even still, I know how to write about food. And you're like, she wrote about food? And I'm like, yeah, it's like the luscious layers of the orange to make orange. You get what I'm saying? I know
Yeah.
how to, and it's like she's writing about
Excuse
food. But that's what makes a great writer a great writer.
me. Okay.
Let me ask you: do you think that your gift or blessing, whatever word you choose to use, with poetry and being able to basically you realize that you can write curriculums, you realize that you have a skill to be able to teach, take someone from point A to point B. Do you look at it as a gift that you have to do your service to others, or do you look at it like a burden?
I look at it as a gift. It's completely a gift. Um, it's an honor and a privilege. I have noticed that when I get asked um, to do anything regarding writing or poetry,
Mhm.
it's like my response, and I'm being totally transparent right now. My response is, it's an honor to serve. It's a blessing to serve. And so, which is what I was so accustomed to saying when I was serving inside of the church, because that's what you say, you know? It's an honor to serve. It's such a blessing and an honor and privilege to serve. So that's how I know that I've been called to do outreach ministry. There are no limitations to outreach ministry. Like, this is outreach ministry because we are outside of we are outside of the building. You get what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So, like I said, I find myself, and it's like I didn't plan to say it. Here I am saying, they're like, I'm like, oh, it's an honor to serve. So it's like, no, it doesn't feel like a burden at all. So if someone needs help with, I don't know, a word with poetry or something with writing, or if they need to do research, it just comes, it's like I was born to do it. It's an honor to serve. It doesn't,
Okay.
only time it feels like a burden when I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 3 a.m. and I haven't commented on all of responded back to everyone's piece. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta get some sleep. But then there's something in me that says, oh my gosh, I really need to respond, because it's a blessing that people have responded to maybe a prompt challenge, and I need to honor my word. So to
Mm.
me, it's, I didn't manage my time very well. So I need to get some rest so I don't feel like it's a burden. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel you.
Let me.
I try to see how I need to manage my time better so I can honor my commitment.
Well, you and King, you got some poetry for tonight? Like, I know you got something.
I have to,
Pull it up.
You have nothing.
oh, I have a lot, but
Surely
ladies
from one of
first.
those 20 or 30 books, you have something. Come
Yeah,
on.
but I have you on the panel tonight, so I don't want to be going out in left field. Get what I'm saying? Uh,
Read whatever you want.
okay. I just want to be respectful. That's how how I do me. You know what I mean? So
I'm covered. You're covered. Read whatever you
um,
want.
I'm always
You're
covered.
covered.
That's what
That's why
they
I
call.
said you're covered. I'm covered. Go ahead. Go for it.
Okay, hold on. Just give me a slight little second. All right. Sorry, I'm taking long, but okay. Come on with this. This piece is titled Firewater. Stepping out of character, still walk up Jacob's ladder. Reverse dark matter, catch daggers with my rapture. Protect seeds as I proceed, true indeed I always feed. Represent a distinct league who don't normally read. Manifest mentally trap the enemy, my eyes hold energy. Too late they acting finicky, send them in front of me. Thought waves increase when I release signs of peace. Same time write a piece which was already deceased. Acknowledging accomplishments, assignment of an artist. All white garments, knowledge decipher, true partnership. Brand name inked in stone, leave alone all that's restless. Best morning enjoyment, good morning and breakfast. Right handed, still use my left without losing my breath. Drive straight to the hoop and score no contest. King.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So that was good. That was good. Okay.
Thank you.
So because I've stated that I'm an
Light work.
advocate for mental health awareness, I'm going to read a piece that I wrote recently. It's called Survivor's Grief. This is a very personal piece of mine. I'm going to give a backstory on purpose. So I wrote this piece because I wrote it for Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, which was in September, to bring awareness, of course, to suicide awareness. And because I am a survivor of suicide, and this is the grief that I have felt from surviving suicide and to have loved ones and then a friend of mine who did not. So I survived, and when I said I struggled in high school, it was unplanned, and to wake up, it's a blessing to wake up. So survivor's grief. 1,000 summers have passed since I last saw you in the midst of tethered eternity. Harmonious love notes echo in the breeze of nature's terrain. Ancient memories etched like graffiti on heart's walls stain my favorite hollow tree. I sit for a spell. Red wildflowers cascade and drink water, riding along riverbanks that have saved my tears over the years. A light rain begins to fall. Your face then ripples on the pond nearby where lilies meet the edge of my existence. My heart is shaken. Denial ties me to the truth. This weariness I feel still hurts. Sadness burns inside, deep within trauma. Healing has never manifested in the roots of grief. I've grown numb to living. Surviving once soothed disappointments. Bruised emotions now coat me in goodbyes. No expectations of loyalty. Hearts leap, lie, flutter, and stop beating. It's all the same. Promises leave. Being fortunate is deceptive. Life after suicide is daunting. 1,000 summers have passed since God chose me to live. Rejoicing when miracles happen is strange. Signs of sickness make me think I'm dying again. Twisted mind tricks play music, triggers pull strings. Grief sings a melodious song of death mimicking heaven. Sometimes I pray for it all to end, but I survived once. I must exist for something. 1,000 summers have passed since grace saved me. I hope I don't fail. Every sunrise gets me closer to eternity, but today I'll learn to laugh again. K.A. Nelson.
All right.
You know,
I love that.
usually I'm not left speechless. too many times when people share certain things. But to be able to share what you just shared, your that's a tremendous testimony, tremendous
True
journey to
facts.
be able to share that. And the other girl was your close friend.
We made this pact that we were going to get our lives together. And so she was in rehab and I was getting my life together and she was. And then she lost that battle. And I was depressed for a while. And then I just had to make a choice to like get my life together. And so there's that survivor's grief, like that plays like, why me? And then to have more loved ones to lose the battle. And then there's that survivor's grief. And then you have to make a choice like, okay, okay, they're just thoughts. They're just thoughts. They're just thoughts. And then there's that survivor's grief like, well, why did I survive? Like, why did I survive? Then it's like, they're just thoughts. They're just thoughts. And it's not that that's motivation to keep living. It's not. I don't use that as motivation. It's like, okay, they're just thoughts because there's some healing that has to manifest at one place. There's some healing where those are not just thoughts. They can no longer be thoughts. It's like, okay, wait a minute. Okay, my life has purpose. Okay, what is my purpose?
Got you.
People need to
So
talk about that more.
I mean, I think that when you mention mental illness, um, I think nowadays people are talking about it a little bit more than probably 15, 20 years ago. And I always find it interesting, and this is just my little pet peeve, is how some people that are in treatment, they're not selfish in their treatment. And what I mean is they'll be in treatment and they start working on some things and they'll be focused on other people that need to be in treatment. I would think that if you're in treatment and you start pushing those layers back, you would be so selfish on trying to get your healing and get past some of the past trauma that you wouldn't be worried about everything else. I think that a lot of times people try to focus on all the wrong things. That's just my view of how I view mental health. You always see it, people, oh, this person's narcissist, this person's got this personality trait. Well, what about you? Why you ain't just focus on you? You should be so engulfed in you if you feel like, which most people do, feel like they have shortcomings, faults, past trauma. You should be so engulfed in you. You should be consumed in trying to better yourself. So I always find it interesting. Just I'm very observant of little things that go on. But
I agree with that.
you did mention something, and you mentioned the king. Explain to us about your authorship. That journey.
Okay. Okay. So what was going on is that back when I took those pictures, for the photo shoot, I thought, okay, maybe it's time for me to write then.
And those pictures are awesome, by the way.
Thank you. So they were
Like
taken by a
it's
student in
for
photography.
me, it's an energy, and I'm looking like, oh my god, you know,
Yeah.
you looked at very, very happy, and like at a moment, I don't know what was going on. You're just I'm looking like, oh my god, she looks like she's so happy. Whatever she's going through, this is just like it. Like this is just a beautiful moment, and I didn't even realize it was a professional photo shoot. I just thought you got some
Yeah.
pictures took.
So
Yeah, I was
I
like,
believe, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was just saying when I saw the flyer, I was like, those are some very nice pictures on her. I said, was she in an event or something? Well, that's nice though. I said, cuz really hooked that up.
Thank you. I believe in creating spaces for people to grow in their gifts in the process of healing. That is a huge thing that I do. That is a huge thing that I do. I create spaces for people to grow in their gifts in the process of being being healed in whatever way that looks like. That is really the foundation of what I do and why I do what I do. So just because you may see me in one space, okay, you don't know how long I'm going to be in that space. It doesn't mean that I'm leaving it because I'm being selfish. God only called me to be in this space for that amount of time, and then I'm going to the next space. I am not really big on numbers. I'm not a numbers person. Sometimes that space will grow, and sometimes it's super, 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 super large. Sometimes the space is small. Okay. So, like I said, I create spaces for people to grow in their gifts and so they can be healed in whatever way that looks like. And so I don't remember everything about that because that's where that memory thing comes in, because I lost my short and long-term memory for about 7 to 9 months. So there are a lot of things that I just still don't remember. So what I do know is that was the person who took those pictures. She was a student in high school, and her photography teacher was there to guide. I don't even know where those pictures were taken. I don't remember. I don't remember. I couldn't tell you where it was. I can't. I don't know. I don't even know how to get there. I don't even know where it is. I have no idea. So what I do know is that she's not in high school anymore because that was in 2016. I just knew that I was supposed to take these pictures. So sometimes the things that I do is because I have this knowing that God has given me. I don't know what it's for, but I knew one day that I would need those pictures. I knew that I would need them. So just like my website, I knew that I needed a website. I had this dream that a child was supposed to build my website. The person who built my website was an 11-year-old. Okay.
That's what's up.
I just had this dream. So I am very purpose driven because I'm listening to like that discernment, what God is telling me to do. And that's how I move. So, the book. So in 2016, I was like, I knew I was supposed to write, and I was trying to write from the things that the therapist told me to journal. That journal scared the crap out of me, the stuff that I was journaling. When I tried to go back and read it, because it was the thoughts that I was having in the midst of mental breakdowns. And I was like, oh my God, like, who is that? So I wasn't ready. I couldn't. And healing had not taken root in no healing had. Let me not say no healing. Enough healing had not taken place. So my thoughts were all over the place. Okay. So God works in mysterious ways. All I know is one day I was like, I had been on Instagram. I got on Instagram, and I was on Instagram on my private account. It was just, it wasn't like a stupid account. It was like selfie, selfie, selfie. Okay. And then, oh my God, I'm so anxious. Oh my God, I'm so anxious. And then my daughter's a basketball player. Okay. Not saying that it didn't have any substance. All I know is that one day I was like, oh, I need to reach out to this person. And she said, yes, I remember when you were trying to write this book. And I was like, what book? Apparently, I had reached out to her back in 2016. So now this is me reaching out to her in 2021. And I was like, really, when? So she has saved it. So it's amazing how God allows us to remember certain things, because I didn't remember. So I was like, okay, I'll write a book. So I got on Instagram in 2020, started writing this poetry, learning how to write poetry. And I was like, if I keep on writing poetry on Instagram, I was writing so much, I'm never going to have anything. So I took a break, and then I wrote a book. And then this and this happened. And my brother, my youngest brother, got in trouble, and he went to prison. My youngest. So there's like a 20-year age gap. And something in me, because I had a dream, and I was like, okay, I got to get this book finished, because I really felt like I was supposed to do, and I still feel this, that I'm supposed to do something with prison ministry. And my book is dedicated to my brother. And it was just something. And I can't explain how I know stuff and how I feel stuff and how I hear. I just can't explain it. It's just this obedience kicks in. So I went dark on Flow with Purpose. Okay. Flow with Purpose was not a mental health support community page at that time. They were going on the journey with me, grieving, and all of this stuff.
For
I ended
everybody
up,
in the chat, Keisha, who her name is Ka. She is she's saying certain things. She has a lot of substance, you guys, and and when I say that and I had to cut her off is that she said flow of purpose. This is one of her companies. This is one of her things that her organization that she has. So she has a lot going on. I mean, it's amazing the amount of work that she's doing. I don't think she's a busybody. I think, as she said, she has a calling and a purpose. And one of the things that when she met King and myself is that she was able to convey that. So she's letting everybody know what she's doing, and it's like really, really amazing. Go ahead.
Thanks.
no, it's cool. So in the midst of all of this, I was also studying for my ministry license. I was studying. So I ended up getting I'm like all over the place, but I promise you I'm on track. So I ended up getting my license in October of 2020. The pandemic like messes up dates. I promise it does. So, because I'm like, well, I shouldn't write a book. And so then the thing with my brother, and I was like, okay, I gotta write this book. Because I really felt led to prison ministry. Okay. And I still do. I still do. My eyes got really big there. They're gonna think I'm a bobblehead. Um, so and I'm so glad that I wrote because something like miraculous happened. Because I had a dream. And so I went dark on Facebook. I didn't have Right on Purpose yet. There are other things that I do for social media um, that I won't talk about. It's totally legit. But sometimes people they want to confine you to the space where they met you, so
and
they
and
think that they
and
can
that's
just
when you were talking about that space. That's what made me think about all the different things that you're involved in. That sometimes people will confine you and say, "Oh no, she just does this." No, 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 no. You're do a bunch of things.
I do. And so it's like I gotta manage my time. So I had to go dark on Flawed with Purpose so I could write. And so I wrote, and remember that journal that scared the crap out of me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, I need to write a book that has poetry, but allows people to journal. Why? Because I also write devotionals and Bible studies. So to help people dive deeper into why they feel heartbroken. Because heartbreak is not just about relationships, like with like the person who you are intimately involved with. Heartbreak deals with grief. It deals with job loss. It deals with when if your pet passes away. It deals with life events. So
Right.
it helps people dive into all of the feelings and emotions and stuff. So yeah, and so that's why I wrote a book.
Wow.
That's what's up.
And so that's the authorship. Now you started poetry with purpose. Explain poetry with purpose. And you started your page. Really, really amazing poems there. Very inspirational for anybody. Look for poetry with purpose on Facebook. And she has a very, very, and what I mean by a very inspirational page that is not too, it won't scare you guys for the layman and be like, oh, this is too much. It's very how can I say it for lack of better words, intimate. It's very open. It's very honest. It's very sincere. Her poems. So check it out on Facebook. She has a page. Go make sure you guys like it and everything. Explain that journey.
Okay, so I have a page called Right on Purpose on Instagram to where I dive deep into poetry. Okay. And then I'll add a little bit of writing. It's nothing like Flawed with Purpose. Flawed with Purpose is strictly a community page that I transitioned it over to a community page for mental health. Okay. So Poetry with Purpose is strictly poetry. I don't get into dialogue, and that's okay. Um, One thing about me is that separation, knowing this is a space for this is a space for this, and who needs to have access. Because my Facebook page, it's like, oh my gosh, now I gotta make a diary entry. That's what it feels like. I gotta make a diary entry today. So that's not what Poetry with Purpose is. It's a poem. There's not a story to be told in the caption. It's poetry. Sometimes it's a micro. A micro is typically let me not say the neck bone is connected to the shoulder bone. A micro is generally about 27 words. And then sometimes I started putting some reels on there with the poetry and some music. So it's just poetry. It's not today I had a bad day and I wrote this poetry and then, I fell and then I wrote some words because I was, no, it's not that. And
Let
that's
me
okay. There's nothing wrong, but that's not what it is.
let me ask you, because I know the purpose, like you always say, purpose, knowing your calling. When did you realize that people really relied on you outside of your immediate family? Like, yo, I'm really making an impact on a perfect stranger out in the street, somebody I come across. Did you ever have that moment like, oh my, I'm really doing my thing, like,
Yeah. When I
and
worked
you
in
ran did,
fitness,
did you run in the bathroom and go cry?
no. So it was when I worked in fitness. When I worked in fitness 12 to 13 years. I knew it then, but I didn't know how to articulate it. I was young. I don't want to say that I was arrogant. I'm very direct. I've said this to King before. I'm very direct and I have to be mindful of my delivery.
It's okay.
I am I am more mindful of my delivery now. When I was younger, oh my god, no, I was not mindful of my of my delivery. If I thought it in my head, that's the way it came out. And so I know I hurt a lot of feelings. And so I spent a lot of time feeling bad because I was like, "Oh my god, what did you say? Why did you say it like that?" But it was the truth. And so I had to learn. But I knew then that, wow. So a well-known pastor says it like this: it's got to carry some weight in order for it to have the right type of influence and the right type of impact.
Mm,
So I knew then that the things that I did, the things that I said carried a lot of weight, and I knew that I had a lot of influence, but I lacked spiritual maturity. I lacked I lacked discernment with that wisdom. You can have the gift of wisdom all day long, but if you lack discernment, that wisdom is nothing. And I don't care how old you are. You can be 70 years old and have the gift of wisdom. If you lack discernment, wow. So I lacked discernment. So I knew then, even in fitness, that so I knew so it's just like that whole teaching aspect. I was a phenomenal fitness instructor and personal trainer. But this was me. I would be on stage. I knew how to, how you're facing the mirror when your back is toward the class.
hmm
I knew how to go from with my back facing to flipping around like it was easy. I knew how to do that easy. I knew how to jump off the stage, interact with the people, make eye contact, help people correct. But I had a passion for that. So that let me know that not that let me know, which I didn't get it then, that not that I wasn't supposed to be on the stage, that I was running away from the teaching part, but because I
Okay.
cared more about people doing things correctly so they wouldn't get hurt. I cared more about the engagement, the fellowship with people. I cared more about, like, man, I hope they're going to be okay, versus, oh my gosh, there are 50 people in this room. Oh my gosh, there are 100 people here today. Because I would give the same amount of energy if there were 5 people. And I would still be like, oh my gosh, I hope they're squatting right. Oh my gosh, I hope they're okay when they leave. And then if they had to go out of town, I would make sure that they had their workouts. So I still cared.
Okay.
that was like 50 minutes I just talked.
No,
Right.
no.
Well, Keisha, let everybody know where they can get your book at, though. Where is it available?
It's available in heaven. I'm just kidding.
Okay, well, let's start praying right now
Oh,
for the raindrops.
It's available in heaven because it's anointed.
Okay.
Okay, so it's
I'll
available
say, let
on
me start
Amazon.
praying right now. Get the raindrops
Hey,
coming down. You know what I mean?
look, melodies from heaven rain down on me. So it's available on Amazon, www.amazon.com/author/k.a.nelson. If you would like a signed copy, you can hit me up. You know what? You can email me at flawedwithpurpose2021 at gmail.com.
Okay.
Or you can hit me up on Instagram.
And what's the title of the book
The
again? For
title of
those who
my
don't
book,
know.
the title of my book is The Heartbroken Poet, Healing in Darkness, a collection of poems, scribbles, and journal prompts. And they're not just regular journal prompts. So I'm actually going through the book because I want to be intentional about it. Yeah, I wrote the book. So, like the first one that I did today, the other day was, have you ever felt remorse after someone else has hurt your heart? I think that's a good question. So, you ever felt like, when someone hurts your feelings, you start thinking, well, what did I do wrong for them to hurt my feelings? Well, nothing. You did nothing.
Oh, that's one of the books coming out in December. What did I do? I'm just kidding.
But for real, like seriously. So I dive into questions like that in this
Yeah,
book.
that's what's up.
what's next?
Well, do you have any expectations?
What's next? What's next? Don't she ain't getting away from that question.
What's
Oh,
next?
What's
okay.
next?
What's next? Okay, so I just relaunched my website, www.flawedwithpurpose.com. So the blog is up and running again. I just added a blogger to my page in addition to myself. So I'm adding to my team. So what we'll be doing, she has a featured spot, and I'll be doing, I used to do this, but I had to manage my time. Book reviews. If you are an author, you'll get an interview, and then I'll review it on my page. And then because I am a writer, grief, grace, and all that stuff. No cuss words. I'm gonna get down and dirty about that on the blog. And I've started doing this on the Flawed with Purpose page where I'm doing motivational content, motivational reels, because I am a licensed minister. So I have the authority and the anointing to do it. So there's nothing wrong with uploading someone else's words, but hey, why not upload mine?
Exactly.
And I've dived into content editing. So I'm doing that. And of course, outreach ministries still. Because of course I bake the best cookies on the face of the earth.
Oh yeah.
I do bake.
Do you
Do you know how to
export?
make, do you know how to make
Do I what?
macarons?
Do you
know how to make
export?
macarons?
Well, I don't like coconut.
Okay.
I don't. But I do bake. So just learning how to better manage my time in this season. Seeing what I need to, because then every time you give your yes to something, you're saying no to something else.
Fondant or buttercream?
I don't know how to make fondant yet, but I do
Good.
make
Don't.
some bomb. I make the best icing. So I make cinnamon rolls, and I make cinnamon rolls with orange creamsicle glaze.
Yeah.
I do,
From a fitness instructor to a foodie.
but I don't eat the stuff.
Really?
I don't eat the stuff. I'm not a big fan of sugar. I like it, but I know how to write about it to make it sound good. Like I can write like, you're like, is she talking about food? I know how to write about it, but I don't really eat the stuff. No, I don't.
Great.
So I had my husband and I had just gotten into it. Well, specifically me, and because in the bio it says I have, a husband, so they're like, "Oh, bring him too." And he's like, "I didn't ask." I'm like, "But you're coming too." So I just dived
Let's go,
into
Rob. Let's do it.
he has look, my credentials are good, because I have my degree, I have my ministry license, I'm an advocate. My husband has 3 degrees.
That's what's up.
He's 3. So they're like, "Well, bring him too." And his testimony is amazing. It's way different than mine. And so we're like,
Yeah.
so when we get to go together, it's like they have questions for me, but they have questions for him too. So it's like God really did something good. And then when our daughter gets involved, because she's done some spoken word too with me, it's like she's really great at cold reads. It's like, and then because she's 16 and a half and she's nonchalant, and I'm like, "How'd you say that big word? I done stumbled 50 million times." So that's what's up for me, Keisha K.A. Nelson, and then the Nelson family. And I just hope and pray for us to steward these blessings well. And of course, my hope and my expectation is just if it helps one person, one person, I've done what I'm supposed to do. I'm not talking about one person a month, like one person a day. And then it's like, "Lord, expand my reach, help my words to reach people in places that my feet may never get to touch." That has been my prayer. And he is doing just that.
That's what's up. Well, what you got lined up for the future?
For the future,
Yeah. Any
well,
high hopes?
high hopes. I trust God with everything. And my hope really is that whenever the Lord says yes to prison ministry, wherever he lets me do that, then I will go and continue growing the Flawed with Purpose page according to what the needs are, because we can say what the brand is. It's the people who determine what your brand is.
Yeah.
And right now, what I see that the Flawed with Purpose community, what they need and what they like is talking about purpose. A lot of people say that they don't believe in God, and hey, who am I to argue? I'm not here to argue with anyone. But what I've seen is the more I speak life into people according to what God is telling me to do, the people are receptive to that. People are receptive to positive words. Your life has purpose. Your life has purpose.
That's true.
It's okay when you're having a bad day. I'm here to tell you that, you know what, I've had some really bad days too. And I'm here to tell you that you're going to make it. It's going to be okay. And because you have breath in your lungs and because you're able to hear the sound of my voice, I want to let you know that I'm praying for you. I am praying for you. And I pray that, that the thoughts that you are having right now that are negative, I pray that you begin to have some peace and those thoughts don't take over your day. And I pray for joy to manifest in your heart.
In the onset of the show, I told you guys this is an amazing individual we have today.
Well, we thank
She
you for that.
definitely has a lot to offer, and is giving humanity her service. Would you like to leave us with anything before we close out?
I hope for people to be healed in every area of their lives that needs healing, even in areas that they don't believe that they need healing in. I pray for healing to take root and to manifest, because sometimes we just don't know. And I thank both of you for giving me this opportunity. And I want to show these earrings. I prayed to have ruby earrings many, many years ago. I did. I went to a women's conference and it said that you are more precious than rubies. And I was like, I need to have rubies at one point in my life. And so my mom gave me her mom, my grandmother's ruby earrings for my 40th birthday. My grandmother passed away. And so I really felt like I was supposed to wear it today. And I heard it like the words I heard was, "You made it." So I've never heard those words before. And I really felt like I was supposed to wear them. And so I'm completely grateful for this opportunity. I'm so glad that my mama saw fit to give me her mom's earrings, ruby earrings, because I really felt that I was going to have to wait before I died because rubies are so expensive. And for such a time as this, because I was like, I need something else to wear. And I just heard it in a still voice. So everyone's life has purpose. Everyone's life has purpose. Everyone's life has purpose. Even if it's just to wake up in the morning to say, oh my gosh, my life has purpose. And it's to brush my teeth, to put on my clothes and to smile and to say hello to someone. That means your life has purpose. That was your purpose for that day. So I thank both of you.
Well, we definitely thank you for coming through for us. You know, knew you had something beautiful and exciting for the world out there.
With that, this has been another great episode of King's Pop-Up. Everyone have a great week. Stay safe. Stay blessed.